the problem is that the moment the first two are able to settle the matter and they go to the third party, which is the federal government, in the first instance, there is usually no resolution. There you have more instances where no resolution comes up, except they do that talk again and again and again. You understand? So, from my experience, that has always been it. So, but in this instance now, I don't know how it's going to be because you see, there's so much stake involved. Because if you look at the chunk of the market size that Dangote is taking in the petroleum industry is so huge and it's humongous. And we are talking of a new player, a new big player in the market. So Pengassan, Nupeng are old players in that same sector. So it's like, a new guy coming in to tell them how to do things. So you have that ego problem on the one hand. Then again, you see, over the years, there has been a lot of, malpractices within the oil sectors in terms of labor practices. Casualization, so many issues, their money, their insurance policy and things like that hasn't been taken care of. So you now have another big player coming on board, trying to, as it were, trying to reinforce that same kind of problem they've been having. So it's not going to be easy. So it's going to be like, as it is right now, the unionists are like they've been back to the wall, So, but again, the argument we had yesterday is still very tenable in terms of, I think in terms of labor practice, the unionists have to do a lot of reinventing, because these old ways of doing things they should think of better ways of engaging employers, a better ways of ensuring productivity, because essentially at the bottom of this thing is the fear of management that what they're asking for will not bring about productivity, efficiency in the running of their operations. That is just the fear. That's just the baseline. So if the NLC at the end, the unionists, the oil workers and the rest of them are able to assure that they will work maximally, I think to a very large extent we won't have this problem. But in the meantime, it's a very scary situation. These guys, they must not go on strike, please.
Where does this leave the ordinary Nigerian in this now?
For now, we are on tenterhooks. Let me just put it that way. So we can only pray for, that there could be talk behind talk, there could be back channel talks, to bring them back to the table so that we can see how we move from there. But if my calculations are right, before Dangote Group decide to take that decision, they already have a plan B. And that plan B is going to be that they can do away with all those and bring fresh guys because the labor market it's ripe with a lot of people who can, they can do it in one fell swoop. Don't forget that we had, he bought about how many tankers? That would take on the last mile, that would take, the fuel to the last mile. So a man who could invest that kind of money. So in terms of recruiting drivers and the rest of them and, tankers, you can imagine it's nothing to him. It's nothing to him,
All right, 0807 777 9927 is number to call to be a part of the conversation this morning. Anyone that catches your attention, you can bring up and let's talk about it. Let's move to another news story real quick. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, has raised concerns over Nigeria's rising debt, warning that the country's current borrowing trend poses a serious risk to fiscal sustainability. Now, he gave figures. Abbas disclosed that Nigeria's total public debt reached 149.39 trillion naira. That's about $97 billion in the first quarter of 2025, up from about 121.7 trillion naira in 2024.
Wow.
And that's surpassing the statutory threshold of 40%. It has climbed up to about 52%.
52%. The GDP ratio, that is the debt GDP ratio. That is at the maximum. It should be 40% of your GDP. That is the ratio of your debt should be about 40% of your GDP. That's what the normal standard should be. But now we are in 52. So it tells you that we are really strained, fiscally speaking. And the Speaker is right to raise alarm. And, don't forget that we have been saying this for countless number of times, that, you see, what it simply means for me is that what we are borrowing for is not yielding correspondent revenue. That is, because by now, we should see enough productivity to show up, to start, paying back those debts in the last 2 years. But what is happening now is that we are not seeing it yet. So that is why there is that strain. And that is why Abbas is concerned. The speaker is concerned. And you see, there is always this problem. Like I said, most of us, most Nigerians, me included, we have always been a little bit laid back, when it comes to financial education, fiscal education, macroeconomics and microeconomics. We have been a little bit laid back on that. So we just leave it to, or maybe it's because of the way it has been presented to people, because most times when we speak over people's head. We have a call?
Yes, we do. All right, let's take this call. Hello, good morning. Okay, looks like we lost it. Please go ahead.
Okay, so that is one of the major problems we have, because ordinarily, imagine, like we're talking about the petroleum thing now, you see a lot of people talk, a lot of people raise issues and things like that because it touches on them. But most times, when it comes to this fiscal issue and debt like that, we have been unable to reduce it to the barest minimum so that the average man on the street can understand.
Sorry to bother you again. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am
All right. This is the headline news analysis on FlowFM. If you have a comment to make about the news stories that we have on the show, then you can call in 0807 777 9927.
All right, I was just going to ask you, this is coming from the speaker showing concern. My question, just like the ordinary, because hey, we sit here and we represent ordinary Nigerians.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the question that comes to mind is, now this is coming from the National Assembly, Speaker of the National Assembly. Now, this, borrowing, process automatically should go through the National Assembly.
Okay.
Are they not fully aware as to the rate at which our borrowing trend is going before giving approval to some of these loans?
In fact,
or these borrowings, rather?
Yeah, you see, that is the other leg of the controversy. Because before you borrow that kind of amount, it has to, there ought to be clearance from the Senate. I think basically the Senate, or the National Assembly.
The National Assembly.
The National Assembly, basically they have to clear it. But you see, for a very long time, there has been this allegation about, how am I going to put it? This allegation that the National Assembly has been more of a rubber stamp. They don't do a due diligence in looking at those debts, those loans, the profile of those loans, vis-a-vis what we have on ground and how we are going to repay it. The kind of debt burden is going to put on the economy and future generations. There has been a lot of criticism about that. So, but apparently, Abbas appears to be looking at the situation from a different lens, but he cannot be exculpated from part of the whole thing. And I think that is one of the reasons why there has been a kind of, early this morning I was reading that he backtracked on that same statement. Early this morning, yes, that, I think he is trying to offer clarifications. But for me, I think maybe he realized this same conundrum that you just raised now. Well, look, we are part of this. So is the government that borrowed the money, and we are part of that government. So perhaps he's trying to clear it. I haven't really looked at that. I just saw the headline that he makes a 360-degree U-turn on that same turn on that comment he made.
Right.
So maybe we might have some other
Let's take this call. Okay.
Okay.
I lost it already.
All right. So let's see how it goes in the days ahead. But really, it is a scary statistics that we're looking at. Yeah.
All right. Scary statistics again, because I've spoken to a couple of economics, and I think you also share that belief or that understanding that the borrowing for a country is not even the problem.
It's
but
not
the
the problem.
utilization.
Exactly.
And then the speaker is also talking about the transparency in the process and the utilization of it. Can we say the speaker is seeing what a lot of Nigerians are not seeing at this time?
No. I think the speaker is echoing what Nigerians have been echoing, especially people that are perceived as opposition. You see, that is why sometimes, when we talk about things that balls on the life of the average Nigerian, national life, we should try as much as possible to put sentiments aside, and look at the issues on the merit of it. He talked about the other angle that I haven't spoken about is the transparency. How open is it? You understand? Because a lot of things, appears to have been done, under this cloak and dagger thing, a lot of smoke and mirror. A lot of explanations are not made to Nigeria.
All right, Nicholas, please hold on your thought a little. All right.
Oh, wow.
We seem not to be getting lucky with the lines this morning, but please continue to try the number 0807 777 9927. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So that is the point. You see, like we were explaining earlier, that deliberately, sort of, people in government don't take time to explain this thing, the nitty-gritty of borrowing and what it's going to translate to the average man and how we are going to pay back. You understand? So that lack of transparency is what bring about this situation where he's now realizing that we might be in trouble. I mean, 40 to 52%. GDP to ratio to the GDP.
That's about 12%. Increase.
So that's a very big one. It's a very big one.
Is that the payback you talked about? Is where I want to ask my question. And as a part of the report, Abbas also mentioned plans for the creation of a West African parliamentary debt oversight framework under WAPAC, which will harmonize this debt reporting across the region and set the transparency benchmarks. What's the plan for the repayment? Are we going to continue to borrow to pay back, or
no? You
things
see,
that are used for?
That WAPAC thing is more of a peer review mechanism. It's just if we borrow, this is how we are repaying it. You put it in an open platform where other West African countries can look at it and compare with their own. So the moment you are veering off the standard, you know you are not doing well. You understand? So, that kind of peer review mechanism is like shaming you to do the right thing. So that is what that is all about. And that is part of that transparency we are talking about. And that is what he's saying, that they are going to hasten that. So that if internally we cannot, review what we do, maybe when we put it on a West African platform where other countries see how we are borrowing and how we are repaying, we will be shamed into doing the proper thing before we go out. And so it's like bringing your dirty linen, into the outside. So that is more like it. But you see, the repayment thing, you see, we tend to have this idea that repayment is just you take a loan, that you just seize money from somewhere and pay back. No, it is not that. You see, when you borrow, do we have a call?
Yes,
okay.
That's right. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning to you. What is your name and where are you calling from, please?
Yeah, I'm Shitta-Bey calling from Thank you.
Chief Akban, it's good to have you. Good morning to you. Please go right ahead.
Good morning, Adedayo and the in-house analyst.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So let me start from the rest. You make sense of this, how do you call it, borrowing. My first question is, the National Assembly, before this one come and start to say, want to do it. Now, if they want to know that the borrowing is more than what it should be borrowed. So let me tell you, if it's only a slugger for the fund, the problem is now to know what's going on. Because the worm is now forcing itself out from the can. Are you getting me? Meanwhile, know that the nation is coming. They'll keep borrowing. They actively still support them. It's just a kangaroo, because that stage, I want to make that. Okay, in the case of this one again, petroleum 50% or 5%, sorry, I'm talking, you did not get there yet. Sorry.
All right.
You see,
well, we was talking about some reasonable concerns that are they just realizing now that
you see, it speaks to a phenomenon in the way we do politics in Nigeria. You see, this is this Orankadede phenomenon. You must not be seen to be contradicting the president, the governor, the chairman,
or the administration.
It's a culture that is so peculiar in Nigeria. You understand? I think that is, what is at play here. People, a few days ago, I was having a kind of disagreement with, an executive chairman, appointed by the governor, over an issue, So, and I was making my opinion very public, and people felt that was disrespecting the governor because the governor appointed somebody, so you cannot, disagree with him, even though politely, but pointing out what should be done. You tend to find people within the governor's circle telling you that what you are doing is like attacking the governor. That is not only wrong, it is wicked. I'm saying it openly, and the people who are involved know whom I'm talking about. You understand? That is the kind of thing you are saying in the National Assembly. Now that debt burden is on every Nigerian, every working Nigerian. So now when you create a system that should, that makes the National Assembly buck in their duty to check the president, respectfully, then you have created a problem. You create this kind of contradictions we are talking about, that Mr. Akpan is talking about. That are they just being aware of what is happening? Maybe they have been speaking privately. It is not open. They didn't allow for a robust discussion on the parliamentary floor. That is why we are in this mess right now. So you see, no matter what, we must understand that, look, a leader is not perfect. He's a leader because there is a follower. A follower is supposed to let the leader know when he's doing something wrong. You understand? So this is one of the, see, at the end of the day, we discover that in as much as you have a leader, what we must avoid, what we must as much as possible avoid, this psychophancy, this, on Sunday, I was in a religious gathering, and, so I think it was last week, Wednesday. It was a meeting, kind of a religious meeting. And, something was pointed out to me in the Bible that I've never seen before. That when flattery is like putting a net, that you are trying to entrap that person. That is what you are doing. That is, I've never seen that in the Bible before. This is not supposed to be, but you see, over the years, flattery has always been what it is. It's a very big trap. And that is what the National Assembly have found themselves in. They bring a proposal. They don't sit down to look at it and have a robust discussion that, Mr. President, this is a very good idea. But you see, don't you think we should do it this way and let Nigeria weigh in on the situation? So now we are having a very situation where he has to talk, he has to walk back on what they all agreed on. And we are pointing out the contradictions that, were you not there when this was happening, when they brought this proposal? So that is it. So as much as we were saying things about enlightening the Nigerians, about, to take more interest in fiscal policies. So, okay, we'll have a call. Okay.
Hello, good morning. Okay, looks like the line is really bad. Please do well to try to connect back. 0807 777 9927. Please go ahead.
So that is, something that I think that we really need to think about, because in this, it's not only it's not only Abbas now that is, so I think we should take more than usual attention, or pay more than usual attention to something like this.
All right. Thank you, Nicholas. 0807 777 9927. Let's really touch on this, and then we'll talk about one of the biggest story for today, and a major event coming up later today, 5 p.m., and that will be the Super Eagles against South Africa, the World Cup qualifiers. We'll leave that to just conclude the show with that. But let's discuss the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria has scrapped its long-standing rule that mandated the dismissal of students who failed the council's professional examinations 3 times. Nicholas, what's your reaction to the policy, and how good or sweet or bad is this?
No, well, I think I think it is a call. It's a very good call, especially considering the dire straits we are in terms of nursing recruitment. In fact, most times most of the nurses you have right now are people who migrated from auxiliary, trained on the job, went to school, then got a diploma or whatever they get, in nursing, qualification before being midwifed into the health system, and to a very large extent, it has proved to be a cog in the wheel of progress, growth within the industry, providing enough nurses who are very critical sector, within the health industry. So what it simply does, what they have agreed to do right now is to, rather than asking them after failing 3 times, they can only rewrite the portion they failed. Rewrite the portion they fail, and especially when they have had about 80% attendance in class, and they have attended lectures too. You understand? So I think it's a very positive thing, But again, you see, a good policy is not absolutely totally good. There is always a drawback. Don't forget that, you see, that same policy is what makes the Nigerian nurses a highly sought after commodity offshore, like in Australia, for instance. in the UK, you know, and in the United States of America. You understand? Nigerian nurses are well regarded because, you see, they go through the rigors. You understand? So how this is going to impact on the general quality in the long run is yet to be seen, you know.
Okay. 0807-777-9927 is number to call to be part of the conversation. If you would like to, you can call us or you can send a message on WhatsApp as well.
All right, let's close the show this morning.
Sorry, before you take that, let's take this call.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. The line seems to be really bad.
Really bad.
Well, maybe probably because it rained over the night, and well, this is
disrupted the network.
I think
service?
we're having a conversation about the quality of service Nigerians get from telecom operators and all of this, and of course at the time where they were talking about the increment in data, price
exactly.
and all of these things.
This is one of the things we're talking about.
Exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Let's try it again. Hello.
Good morning. Okay. All right, let's come quickly launch this particular story. Today is a very crucial day for Nigerians, especially football lovers across, the continent, across the country. All eyes will be on Nigeria today as they file out against South Africa in a very crucial World Cup qualifying match. 5 p.m. is the time. It does look like South Africans may be penalized because 3 points deducted from them on that side. But FIFA is yet to, take a position on that one. But again, for the Super Eagles, what is in for the Super Eagles this time? It's a must-win.
It's a must-win. Honestly, I don't know. And this is quite unfortunate because we have no business being in this position in the first place. It would be so easy to blame the player and the coach. But you see, it would be most unfair to blame them, especially Shell. It would be most of Eric Shell. Because I think the people that we should be talking about now is that, there should be enough anger to make the NFF president, Ibrahim Gusau, to resign if Nigeria loses today. Because they knew they had a World Cup coming. And that dilly-dallying in choosing a quality coach for Nigeria from the onset is the biggest undoing. And something is telling me that, in fact, I choose to interpret as an act of sabotage across the country.
But again, Nicholas, quite a number of sport lovers celebrated Eric Chelle when he was appointed.
Yeah.
Are we now backtracking to say that it was a deliberate attempt to sabotage the Super
No, I'm not talking about sabotage. I mean, I'm talking about long before the
the appointment of Eric Chelle.
Eric Chelle, who did you bring on board? Passero. Immediately after the Nations Cup, he made it clear that he wasn't coming back. You understand? So the moment you were sure you don't want him, you put things in place. And when they did the first interview, the person from what we reliably gathered, the most qualified candidate was Amonike. You understand? That is if you want to go for a local player.
A local coach.
Local coach. It was Amonike. Yes, but you decided to choose Finidi. And honestly, Finidi, I'm not saying he's not a good coach, but he doesn't have the right temperament for a team like the Super Eagles. He doesn't have the right temperament. He doesn't have the kind of experience. You understand? So now, that was where I had a problem with them. So the guy went on. We are talking about this one from Spain, another one from Antigua, another one from here and here and here, then all to arrive at the same Eric Shell. At what point did he come on board? He came in on board when we had dropped about more than 5 points. So that is why we are in this scenario. That is why we are in this kind of fiasco right now. So because you see, a draw does not even cut it. We must win outright in South Africa. You understand? And you see, those kind of games are very difficult because the players will be under tremendous pressure. See, all the South Africans need to do is just to sit back, knock the ball around. That's all they need to do. You understand? And those kind of games are very difficult to play because as it is right now, or if they can salvage 1 point from that, they are done. They are home and dry.
All right. Well, we just wish the Super Eagles luck today, and like you mentioned, it's going to be a lot of pressure.
It's going to be a lot of pressure
on the players this time. What's the situation with Victor Osimhen?
Osimhen is out of the game, unfortunately. You know.
So what does that do to the team right now?
I have no fear. The problem is not Osimhen, honestly. I think usually the Super Eagles are used to know that is when you back them to a wall. That's when they are most dangerous. But I sincerely hope they live up to that legend.
All right. We just wish them all the very best. And of course, we'll be on the streets as well too today. Make sure you look out for us. And of course, I'm taking the sports, to the streets. And of course, I'm getting the views of Nigerians. And in our only two way, I'm trying to garner support for the Super Eagles. We'll be out in a moment. Thank you for joining us on the headline news analysis. Nicholas, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
My name is Dayo Adeyemi.
And the views expressed is not in any way the position of FlowFM 92.7 or the staff therein, but is expressed by our in-house analyst, Nicholas Uwerunonye. Join us tomorrow from 8 o'clock to 8:30, God willing. And thank you for joining us on Headline News. I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey.